while I offer a spiritual mind treatment or affirmative prayer as we open this morning celebration. So let's just remind ourselves of the truth that this is a spiritual universe, that there is only spirit, and therefore each one of us and everything in this universe is actually an individuation of spirit. I give thanks for this, and I know that I am one with spirit, as is each and every one of us. And therefore, with complete faith, I claim good. I claim good for each and every person here today, each and every person who is usually here but off doing some weekend holiday activities. Good for all of our friends and family, good for our country, good for our world, good for all of our predecessors, those who have come before us, good for all the people who will be our descendants, who will come and live and enjoy life after us, and good for each and every person here experiencing this wonderful, wonderful thing called life along with us right now. There is good for us, and I give thanks for it, and I know that just the joyfulness, the celebration, the happiness that must come from recognizing the truth that there is a power for good, that we can use it, that we are free here and now to begin again, to make new friends, to cherish the old, to think new thoughts and engage in new and wonderful ways of expression. It's wonderful. It's a blessing to be here together now. And so I invite you to just turn this prayer, this treatment, over to Spirit, knowing it's already done, and join with me in announcing and celebrating. Thank you.
I need to be still and let God love me. I need to be still and let God love me. When this old world starts to push and shove me, I need to be still and let God love me. I need to relax and let God take over. I need to relax and let God take over. Please take this load right off my shoulders. I need to relax and let God take over. Yes, I need to relax and let God take over.
Thank you, Jennifer. We're so lucky to have Jennifer Hart as our musician today. And she drove so far, she said it was even raining on the way here. So I'm looking forward to some sunshine this afternoon. I hope we have that. So, it's my pleasure to welcome everyone here. I'm Reverend Kate, minister at this center. And I'm just really happy that you could all join us today at the Center for Spiritual Living Carlsbad, where we really do believe that there is a power for good in the universe and that we can use it, and where we're always coming together to teach, demonstrate, and inspire a positive spiritual approach to living. So I would like to invite this morning to light our candles. You know, when we light our candles, what we're doing is simply reminding ourselves of the underlying spirit of life and the divine unity of all. So first we light a candle for life, because life is everywhere present, flowing through each and every one of us. There is only one life. That life is God's life. That life is our life now. So please affirm and say with me, I am life. And we light a candle for love. The birth of love happens within each one of us every time we make room for the Christ consciousness in our hearts and recognize our unity. I am a point of love within the heart of God. Please affirm and say with me, I am love. We light a candle for light. The light of God is the presence and the power. We are always walking in the light. We radiate the light of God wherever we are. Please affirm and say with me, I am light. We light a candle for beauty. We are made in the likeness and image of God. We are each whole, complete, and beautiful, just as we are. I accept the beauty of God's perfection as my perfection now. Please affirm and say with me, I am beauty. We light a candle for joy. Joy is the very nature of spirit and the true essence of each of us. We celebrate the joy of our own rebirth in the God consciousness. I bring joy to the world. Please affirm and say with me, I am joy. We light the candle for peace. Today and every day we open our hearts to peace. I am the center of peace in the world. Please affirm and say with me, I am peace. And finally, I'd like to invite you to just take a moment and recognize your own inner light that is always shining within as we each honor our own metaphysical path of wholeness, oneness, and mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. Thank you. So as we begin, I'd just like to highlight a few announcements. There's more in your program. If this is your first visit to our center, welcome. And if you've been away living in Arizona for a while, double welcome. We're so glad to have you here. I want to invite you to sign the guest book in our lobby. If you put your email in, you'll get our weekly newsletter once a week. We send that out. I also want to remind people that we're going to be working on a directory for the center. So if you have moved in, say, the past 5 years or whatever, because all we've been using are emails, basically. Please update your address or phone or any information by just filling out another page in the guest book. That'd be a great help to us. And after our service today, we're keeping it a little bit short because we know it's a holiday, so we will have fellowship. And I do hope that everyone can stay. It's the perfect time to just express our friendship and get to know each other a little better. The other thing is that, as always, every Sunday we offer spiritual mind treatment or affirmative prayer as our gift to you. So if you have a prayer request today, you can either ask me or Reverend Maurene. Dr. Maddie is here today. Practitioner Robert, Practitioner Larry, we're all here to help you with your prayer requests. Or the other thing you can do is we have a treatment request form that's on the table in the corner in the lobby, and you can just fill out a written request form. And if you do that, then we share it with our whole prayer team, and they'll do prayer treatment for you during the week. And I always want to remind you, it's okay to repeat your request. You know, it's not just a one time. We continue with our treatment until we see the results, because we know this works. It works if you work it. And so we want to actually see the change that we desire. So I also want to remind people that we won't be having class today. The Spiritual Principles and Practices class will meet next week after the service. And now it's time to just say thank you to the volunteers. We have the volunteers that you're going to see up here today, and then we have our behind-the-scenes volunteers. And so I'd like to thank Morgan for the beautiful flowers. Thank you, Morgan.
They're gorgeous.
They are gorgeous, aren't they?
Yeah.
I'd like to thank Practitioner Robert for being our greeter today, for bringing us all. For bringing us all remembrance poppies, which I'm sure maybe he'll say something about later. I want to thank Rob for bringing the treats.
Yay, Robbie!
Yeah.
Yay!
And of course, thank Practitioner Larry for doing the video recording as always, and it's really great. I know there's a few.
Larry!
We have a few people out today with some health issues, so I know they'll feel included. So thank you, Larry. And thank you, of course, to Jan and Angel for everything they do to set us up and get us organized. So the volunteer sheet is on the welcome table if you want to sign up for anything. Now, if you could look in your programs, does everyone have a program? In the program and find the group reading. Let's read it aloud together. God is all, both visible and invisible. One presence, one mind, one power is all. This one that is all is perfect love and perfect abundance. I am an individualized expression of God. I am ever one with this perfect life, perfect love, and perfect abundance. Now, if you'll stand, we're going to turn it over to Jennifer for our group song.
And I thought this would be a perfect day to sing God Bless America. There's a verse to it that a lot of people don't know. So I'll sing the verse. If you know it, join in with me. But when I get to the chorus part, please join me. While the storm clouds gather far across the sea, let us swear allegiance to a land that's free. Let us all be grateful for a land so fair, as we raise our voices in a solemn prayer. Join me now. God bless America, land that our laws and desire, and guide her through the night with the light from above, from the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans, white with love. God bless America, my own sweet love. God bless America, my own sweet love. Thank you. You must be
Good job. It's so true. We don't always just stop and think about the blessings that we have that we just take for granted. So thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, everyone. Now I'd like to invite Practitioner Robert up to give us our today's inspirational reading. I'll let you turn that on.
Everybody hear me?
Yes.
trying a different approach with the microphone this Sunday. Nobody could get it high enough for me to talk into. Before I do the reading today, since it is Memorial Day weekend, I just wanted to acknowledge that although my own father didn't die in World War II, he came back from it a completely different person than he went, and never really became a normal person again. I'd just like to acknowledge his sacrifice and the sacrifice of all those who died or gave up part of themselves in the wars that this nation has fought. Today's reading is by a fellow you may not have heard of. His name is, and pardon me for the pronunciation, Susilo Bambang Yudhoyono.
That is really good you did that.
He was the first popularly elected president of Indonesia and served there from 2004 to 2014. And because Reverend Maurene's talk is about heroes, this quote is about heroes. Every society needs heroes, and every society has them. The reason we don't often see them is because we don't bother to look. There are two kinds of heroes. Heroes who shine in the face of great adversity, who perform an amazing feat in a difficult situation, and heroes who live among us, who do their work unceremoniously, unnoticed by many of us, but who make a difference in the lives of others. Heroes are selfless people who perform extraordinary acts. The mark of heroes is not necessarily the result of their action, but what they are willing to do for others and for their chosen cause. Even if they fail, their determination lives on for others to follow. The glory lies not in the achievement, but in the sacrifice. And I wanted to add a short quote from a favorite mystery writer of mine, Robert Cray. People need heroes, bro. Always have and always will. Heroes give us the hope. Thank you.
There's a hero. If you look inside your heart, you don't have to be afraid of what you are. There's an answer. If you reach into your soul, the sorrow that you know will melt away. And then a hero comes along with the strength to carry on, and you cast your fears aside, and you know you can survive. So when you feel like hope is gone, look inside you and be strong. You'll finally see the truth, that a hero lies in you. It's a long road when you face the world alone. No one reaches out a hand for you to hold, but you can find love if you search within yourself. The emptiness you felt will disappear. comes along with the strength to carry on, and you cast your fears aside, and you know you can survive. So when you feel like hope is gone, look inside you and be strong. You'll finally see the truth, that a hero lies in you. Lord knows dreams are hard to follow, but don't let anyone tear them away. Hold on, there will be tomorrow, and in time you'll find the way. And then a hero comes along with the strength to carry on, and you'll cast your fears aside, and you know you can survive. So when you feel like hope is gone, look inside you and be strong. You'll finally see the truth, that a hero lies in you. Yes, a hero lies in you. Yes, a hero lies in you.
That was great.
That was great. I just want to mention, because I didn't mention, I want to thank Robert for his service. He too is a veteran, and so yes. I don't know if we have any others in the audience today. I know we do have some members of our congregation, but thank you, Robert. This is a good day, and we're so glad that you came back to us safely. So yes, many things to be grateful for. And now it's my great pleasure to introduce Reverend Maurene, who is going to give us some words of encouragement today. So take it away.
Thank you, Reverend Kate. You can hear me? Okay. Great. Well, today, yes, and thank you, Jennifer. That was wonderful. That was amazing. Just perfect for my talk on heroes. So, good morning. Good morning to everyone, and welcome to a commemoration for Memorial Day. It's also known as Remembrance Day or Decoration Day, and I think the name stuck in the 1970s. So, I today want to remember heroes and keep them in my heart forever. I want to talk about a particular loss in my life and why it is important for all of us to keep working for peace, keep working toward higher consciousness of everyone. Now, Mark Twain, one of my favorite authors, said, "Heroes are men who do things which we recognize that we cannot do. If everybody was satisfied with himself, there would be no heroes." Now, the dictionary defines a hero as someone who is admired or idealized for courage, outstanding achievements, noble qualities. Now, Robert said to me, he said, a hero is someone who's more with spirit, more aligned with the one than most people. I agree that a hero is someone who sees unity and sees a higher purpose unfolding. They have the ability to be selfless and one. Joseph Campbell, another favorite author of mine, he said a hero is someone who has given his or her life to something bigger. And in the New Testament, in John 15, verse 13, we see greater love has no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends. So there are many types of heroes. There are people that run into burning houses and save pets and people. Others that jump in the ocean to save one. They give of their time, they give of their talent. And speaking of war heroes, there's no expectation of receiving something back, but they give out of love. Especially our war heroes, love for country, love for humanity, love for freedom. Now, usually I tell everybody a joke. It was hard to find a joke for Memorial Day, but on the Sunday before Memorial Day, the minister noticed little Alice was staring up at the large plaque that hung in the foyer of the church. The plaque was covered with names and small American flags that were mounted on either side of it. The 7-year-old had been staring at the plaque for some time, so the minister walked up, stood beside her, and said quietly, "Good morning, Alice." "Good morning, Reverend," she said. She said, "What is this?" And the minister said, "Well, Alice, it's a memorial to all the young men and women who died in the service." Soberly, they stood together, staring at the large plaque. Little Alice's voice was barely audible when she said, "Which service, Reverend? The 9 o'clock or the 11 o'clock?" So a little background about Memorial Day. It's celebrated in late May because that's when flowers are likely to be blooming. It's a federal holiday. It is for honoring and mourning the U.S. military personnel. It was first started in 1868 by a wife of a Confederate general. Her name was Mary Ann Williams, and she lobbied to make this a holiday in order to decorate soldiers' graves. Barack Obama said, "Less than 1% of our nation wears the uniform, and so few Americans see this patriotism with their own eyes or know someone who exemplifies it. But every day, there are American families who pray for the sound of a familiar voice when the phone rings, for the sound of a loved one's letter or email arriving. More than 1 million times in our history, it didn't come. Instead, a car pulled up to the house, and there was a knock on the front door." So some statistics. In the American Revolution, 4,400 soldiers were lost. The Civil War, 619,000. World War I, 116,000. World War II, 405,000. 58,000 in Vietnam, and 6,700 in Iraq. This does not include soldiers who died by suicide or drug overdose when they came home. So I used to live in Hawaii, in Pearl City, and there's a huge presence there because there's this huge military base there. And I retired from Hawaiian Electric before I came here to live. While working there at the Waiau power plant, the women would get together every Memorial Day, before Memorial Day, and we would make leis. And we would pick beautiful plumeria. We had trees of white, red, and pink plumeria, and we would pick those. And leis are made by a very long needle anyway. We would make these leis to be put on the graves at Punch Bowl. Punch Bowl is the National Memorial Cemetery of the Pacific, and it was started in 1949, but originally it had been a burial ground for the Hawaiians. In fact, King Kamehameha had stationed cannons there. It's kind of interesting. And a lot of unknown soldiers were buried there. And one civilian named Ernie Pyle, he was a Pulitzer Prize-winning war correspondent. So more than 13,000 soldiers and sailors are laid to rest in Punch Bowl. And for a little more statistics, Arlington Cemetery is a resting place for more than 300,000 veterans from the Revolutionary War to Iraq and Afghanistan. And some of you may have been to the Vietnam Memorial, the wall, as we called it, where over 58,000 servicemen and women gave their lives. There's also a memorial that Robert and I went to in Sacramento, right behind the Capitol building on 15th Street. So I come from a very proud family. Most of the men were in the military, and my grandfather was he was a sergeant in World War I in France. My father was in the Navy, and he was on the first LST. An LST is a truck loading ship. It basically for trucks and tanks, but he was on the first ship to land at D-Day on Omaha Beach. So, in the summer of 1970, I was stationed at Fort McClellan, Alabama. I had signed up for a basic training in the Women's Army Corps. At that time, they were not integrated. There was a separate women, separate men. I was on track to graduate from UCLA in the spring of 1971, and as a college graduate, I would be offered a commission as an officer. Also, if I was accepted into law school, which I had applied to, the government would pay my tuition in exchange for me working for the Army for a number of years. It was a very lucrative offer because I had been working my way through UCLA, and I had to take some loans the last year to cover expenses, but I knew, law school would be extremely expensive, and I'd have to take out thousands of dollars in loans. So I thought the military. This was an opportunity for me. And in the military, we were awakened at 4 a.m. every day. We got very little sleep, and we had to get up and do calisthenics for an hour. We had to run for miles. We ate, and it was called, I call it grab and gobble. Like, we had 10 minutes to eat. It was like, no wonder I lost weight. We had hours of classroom training, and in the afternoon, we went out off the parachute towers. We were on the rifle range. We rode in tanks. I was in the best shape of my life, and I enjoyed it. What we had to give up, though, all of our clothing and anything that identified us as a separate person. There were about 60 women there, and we all wore the same uniform, the same shoes. We were trained to act as one. You have to give up you in order to serve your country. We were responsible for each other. We became one. We were taught the basics of the military. We were taught the political position of the government. Communism was a threat at the time. And the reason, we were in war in Vietnam was because of the domino effect. And if Vietnam fell, all of Asia would fall to communism. So I found my classmates were similar to me, even though they were from places like Guam and Puerto Rico and New York. They were all similar. They were looking for advancement. Some came from abject poverty, especially some of the islands that they came from. But they realized that through the training and through being in the Women's Army Corps, they could elevate their status and have greater opportunities in life. As women officers, we would be paid well and expected to command nurses in Vietnam. I aced the classes. I was looking forward to graduation in 2 days. But I received a phone call. And phone calls from home were not normal. We didn't have cell phones in those days. We didn't even have a general phone in the barracks. My CO told me to go to the payphone and call my mother. I thought, oh, emergency. mother said that Greg had rolled over on a mine and been killed. He had only been in the Marine Corps for a couple of months. He was my brother Jim's best friend. Greg had been living in our home. Greg and Jim were wrestlers. They were jocks. They wore leather jackets. The girls adored them. I was a brainiac. I wasn't in their clique. I didn't run with them in high school. And they had just graduated from high school, and they were starting new lives, and they were so excited. My brother Jim got a scholarship to UCLA in wrestling. Now, Greg was a California state champion wrestler. He was pretty amazing. And we were from Lowell High School, La Habra, California, Orange County. But all he wanted to do was join the military. This was his heart's desire. He was so excited about joining. And, you know, when we dropped him off at the, I think they call it the induction center or something, he was so excited. Was his life's desire. And he wanted to serve his country. Eleanor Roosevelt said, "True patriotism springs from a belief in the dignity of the individual, freedom and equality, not only for Americans, but for all people." So Greg knew I was going into the Women's Army Corps. Did I encourage him? Did I have some responsibility for his decision to join the Marines, which led to his death? I was shocked. I was in grief. Then I got angry, and I started to question, why are we in Vietnam? And then I started to blame and point fingers. It was Nixon, it was Kissinger, McNamara, it was Westmoreland, it was General Abrams, it was Greg's CO, you know. Well, who could I blame? 2 days later, I was offered a commission. If I accepted it, I would be required to lead other enlisted, non-commissioned women. Could I be an officer? Did I have the skills? Could I take on that responsibility for another person's life? Well, I made the choice not to accept it. I flew back to Los Angeles and started my last year at UCLA, and I took out loans. And I took out loans for law school. I didn't attend the war rallies, the anti-war rallies, because I felt it was disrespectful to those who were serving. My support was with servicemen and women. But I still got tear gassed when I was walking down the street in Westwood, and once when I was just on campus going to class. And this was a time of conflict in our nation. There was, you may remember, Kent State and the students that were killed by the National Guard. You know, I kept asking myself, why? Why? Now, Mark Twain, my favorite author, again said, patriotism is supporting your country all the time and your government when it deserves it. So I question, did my government deserve it? And just like the Dylan Thomas poem, I was raging against the dying of the light. I was so angry. And I read that this therapist, psychiatrist named Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, she said there are stages that you go through: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance. Now, yes, I was into blame. Yes, I was sad. I was depressed. But I found two spiritual tools that really helped me: gratitude, forgiveness. She doesn't mention those.
That's very good.
Finally, the love I had for Greg allowed me to dissolve all my anger. Love allows the flow of life again and healing. I truly believe we all do the best we can wherever we are. Whatever we're doing, we do the best. We are evolving to our highest and greatest selves. So we do what we feel is right. He did what he felt was right. I did what I felt was right. Greg was a hero to me. Like the song by Billy Ray Cyrus, all gave something, but a few gave all. Greg was patriotic. He felt the Marine Corps was the highest and best thing he could do. And for this, I'm grateful. And it's taken me a while, but I forgive myself. I forgive the government. I forgive Greg. Ralph Waldo Trine, I don't know if you know him. He's a writer. He was an early metaphysician. He's known as a mystic, philosopher, and an animal welfare activist. He said, "Patriotism is a beautiful thing. It is well for me to love my country. But why should I love my own country more than I love all others? If I love my own and hate others, I then show my limitations, and my patriotism will not stand the test, even for my own. If I love my own country and in the same way love all other countries, then I show the largeness of my nature. A patriotism of this kind is noble and always to be relied upon." Mark Twain said about war, he said, "All war must be just the killing of strangers against whom you feel no personal animosity. Strangers who, in other circumstances, you would help if you found them in trouble, and who they would help you if you needed it." So I want to take this time to end with a prayer of spiritual mind treatment. But first, I want to speak my word. Speak my word for Greg Keller, for Lawrence Lee Jr., for Willie Lee James, for Stephen Goldstein, Thomas Sweeney. Now, Martha asked that we speak our word for Billy Batsloff. So do we have someone who would like to speak their word?
My brother, Virgil Hollow.
Virgil Hollow.
My husband, Joe Pullen.
My uncle, Stephen Summerskill.
I also speak my word for the nameless and the unknown soldiers and civilians. So let's take a deep breath and join me in consciousness. There is only one power, omniscient, omnipotent, and omnipresent. One life, God's life, which is our life, right here, right now. I am one with this unity. So I speak my word for all those who were spoken here today. I declare for all the names and for all who died in combat, military and civilians. I know that spirit is in all. Spirit is never injured or harmed. All life is a journey of the ever-expanding soul. And I know that all heroes are one with spirit. Their sacrifice is a gift. I give great gratitude for all who have promoted freedom, for life, for love, for all who have a greater vision of that greater good. I declare that we now create new ways of living on this planet, living together in peace. We have learned all we need to know about war. We don't need to learn any more about war. Peace unfolds now. We awaken to a higher consciousness of good now. I am grateful for all heroes, for their sacrifice, and I forgive all who were involved in the wars which took their lives. I forgive, and I am forgiven. I release all people from hate, anger, and vengeance. We are healed, whole. We are living in a place of acceptance and love. We are spirit expressing in this divine life. So I could give gratitude that this is so. I know it is so, and would you join me as I release this prayer by saying, and so it is. Thank you.
If tomorrow all the things were gone I'd worked for all my life, and I had to start again with just my family in a new life, oh, I'd thank my lucky stars to be living here today, 'cause the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. I won't forget the people who died and gave that right to me, and I'd gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, clear across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston, from New York to LA. Well, there's pride in every American heart, and it's time to stand and say that I'm proud to be an American, or at least I know I'm free. I won't forget the people who died and gave that right to me, and I'd gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. God bless the USA.
That was great.
Thank you. It's an emotional time today.
Microphone. Microphone.
Oh, it's not on. Okay. Yes, it's an emotional time for me today. This is our time for giving, conscious giving of offerings. So I'd just like you to, just for a moment though, close your eyes and put your hand on your heart. Oh, and just know with me that this love that circulates through our life and to everyone allows us to be the loving, wonderful people that we are, that we give and we receive and we set it in motion, that everything we give today is for good and goes out from us with love. This I am grateful for, and so it is. So let's sing. Yes, I am so blessed.
I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful for all I have. I am so blessed. so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed.
So I give great gratitude again for these offerings. And at this point, we're going to do a spiritual mind treatment. I was wondering if, yes, Reverend Batty would like to give the end closing prayer.
So we leave this service this morning with hearts lifted up, hearts full of love, hearts full of memories, and hearts full of gratitude for the one that lives within each of us, for the one that looks after, looks over, and takes care of every hero, the one that is the greatest hero of all, as we recognize that there is one and only one mind, one creative intelligence, one loving divine energy that I call spirit. And that spirit lives within each of us. That spirit is one of love. That spirit is one of good. And as we leave today, we know, we recognize, and we give thanks for that love and that light that goes with us, that love and light that is ever shining, that love and light that brings the good, that takes care of every military person, everyone that is on the battlefield for good, be that for country, for those who we may think of as the least among us. We simply recognize the good that is ever shining within each of us, that is always guiding the way home, the way back to that home of love, light, and goodness. The one that's always guiding the hero to more and more greater good. So this morning we simply give thanks, and release these words of love, light, goodness, and deep gratitude, knowing that it is all good, all God, and it is done. Together, let's affirm this by saying, and so it is.
Thank you, Reverend Maddie, Dr. Reverend Maddie. And now it is our time for our final song, which is on the back of your program. If you want to stand, and I just want to thank you all for letting me give this talk, because I'm still working on it.